Hello. In this video, I read out the Japanese folktales in English. I would be happy if you could press the channel subscription and thumbs up now. Let's begin. Once upon a time, in Tatebayashi, Kazuku Province, there was a temple called Murinji. The priest of this temple loved tea very much, and collected all kinds of unusual tea tools, which he enjoyed playing with every day. One day, the priest went to town after finding a toothpick, and on his way back, he found a tea kettle that he liked in a tea shop. He immediately bought it and brought it home, putting it on display in his room, and showing it to everyone who came by, saying, "What do you think? It's a pretty nice tea kettle, isn't it?" And was very proud of it. One night, the priest dozed off next to the tea kettle, as usual, while keeping it on display in his room. After a while, he fell asleep soundly. The prince's room was so quiet that the little children wondered what was going on and peeked in through a gap in the door. Then, the baby toad, who was sitting on his futon beside the prince, started to move around by itself. Oh, they thought, and suddenly a head popped out of the toad, a thick tail sprouted, and 4 legs sprouted out, and it started to walk slowly around the room. The little children were surprised and ran into the room. Oh, something's wrong. The baby toad has transformed. Prince, priest, the baby toad has started to walk. They made a completely strange noise and started to make a fuss. The sound woke the prince up, and he rubbed his eyes and scolded them, saying, "Shut up. What are you making such a fuss about?" "But prince, look. See, the tea ceremony is walking right there." They said this to the prince, and when he looked in the direction the children were pointing, the tea ceremony no longer had a head, legs or tail. It had turned back into a tea ceremony, and before he knew it, it was sitting on the futon, living its normal life. The prince got angry and said, "What a fool you are. But it's strange. It was definitely walking." The children said this in a puzzled manner, and came over and tried hitting the tea ceremony. The tea ceremony made a bang. "See? It's just tea after all. You've said something stupid, and woken up a good night's sleep." After being severely scolded by the priest, the children were dejected and went back home grumbling to themselves. The next day, the priest said, "We've brought the teapot, but it's no fun to just look at it. Today, I'll use it for a meal." And so he poured water into the teapot. Then, even though it was a small teapot, it suddenly gulped down a bucket full of water. The priest thought it was a little strange, but nothing else had changed, so he was relieved and filled it with water again and put it on the hearth. After a while, when its bottom started to warm up, the teapot suddenly said, "It's hot," and jumped out of the hearth. Before the father and mother knew it, a raccoon's head appeared. 4 legs sprouted, and a thick, rock-like tail sprouted, and it began to trudge through the futon, so the priest cried out, "Whoa!" and jumped up without thinking. "Oh no! Oh no! The baby turtle has transformed. Someone come!" The priest called out in a loud voice in shock. And the children said, "Here they come," and came rushing in, wearing headbands, with brooms and dusters in hand. But by then the baby turtle had turned back into its original form, and was living on the futon. When they hit it, it went, clang, clang, again. The priest still looked surprised and said, "I thought I had gotten a really nice teapot, but I've ended up with something really strange inside. What should I do?" He was thinking when he heard a voice from outside, "Rubbish, rubbish. Ah, the junkyard has come to the right place. Let's take this teapot to the junkyard right away." The priest said this and immediately had the junkyard called. The junkyard took the teapot in his hands, stroked it, hit it, turned it over, and then said, "This is quite a nice thing," and took the teapot and put it in the wastebasket to take away. The junk dealer who had bought the teapot was still smiling when he returned home and said, "This is a dig that we haven't seen in a while. I have to somehow catch this lazy rich man and sell him to someone." While muttering to himself like this, he carefully placed the teapot next to his pillow and slept soundly that night. Then, in the middle of the night, he heard a voice calling out from somewhere, "Hello, junk dealer. Junk dealer." He woke up in a start, and found the teapot he had seen earlier sitting next to his pillow, with its hairy head and thick tail sticking out. The junk dealer was so startled that he jumped up. "Oh, what a disaster. The tea ceremony has transformed." Junkyard dealer, there's no need to be so surprised. But who wouldn't be surprised? If a tea ceremony had scars growing on it and started walking around, anyone would be surprised. Who on earth are you? I'm BunBuku Teacake, and I'm actually a tea ceremony that's transformed into a raccoon dog. One day, I was playing in the field when 5 or 6 men chased me away, and I had no choice but to transform into the tea ceremony and into the grass. As I was rolling around, the men found me again, and this time the tea was still there, and the tea was still there, and they got something good. They said they would sell it somewhere, and everyone would buy something delicious to eat. So I was taken to the old tool shop, exposed to the shop front, and had a very hard time. To make matters worse, they wouldn't let me have anything to eat. So I was so hungry I was about to die, but the priest at the temple rescued me. At the temple, finally, I was given a bucket full of water, and after I gulped it down in one gulp, I was surprised when I was suddenly put over the hearth and burned from behind. I've had enough of places like that. Since you seem to be a kind and dear person, would you please let me stay at your house for a while? I'll be grateful. Yes, it's no big deal to let me stay. But what does it mean to be grateful? I'm planning to show you all sorts of interesting arts at the show, and I'll make you a lot of money. What exactly do you do at the show? Okay, for now, let's do the easy crossing trick, the BunBuku Shigama's Ukari Odori dance. Now, quit your junk business, and get your show going. From tomorrow, you'll make a lot of money. Hearing this, the junk dealer was totally enthusiastic. And so, as Shigama suggested, he quit his junk business. When the next day dawned, the junk dealer immediately got ready for his show. First, he built a shop in the town's lively area, put up a large sign with pictures of the BunBuku Teapot's tether and the Ukari Odori dance, and won the entrance fee and the building fee by himself. Then he sat down at the entrance and called out in a loud voice, come on, the big signboard's BunBuku Teapot has grown scars, hands and legs, and from the light trick of tethering. It's the mysterious art of the Ukari Odori dance, a sign. Attracted by the mysterious sign and the interesting-looking building, the locals flocked to the shop, and in no time, it was packed. Soon the alarm rang, and the curtain was raised, and the BunBuku Shigama came out of the ark and greeted the guests. When they saw what they had never expected, it was a giant Shigama, a monster with legs, and all the beasts said, "Ah," and their eyes widened. That alone was strange enough, but the Shigama monster placed an umbrella on its hand, opened a fan, and put its legs on the rope. Then, bending its body as if to the side, it performed the crossing with such force that the beasts were even more amazed, and showered it with such fervor that it was almost a child. From then on, whenever the BunBuku Shigama performed a different trick. The animals were delighted, and, saying to each other, "I've never seen such an interesting shop before," they all returned home. After that, the BunBuku Shigama's store spread all over the place, and it was packed every day with people, not only from the town, but also from the festival grounds, who came all the way to see it, so that before long the junk dealer had become very wealthy. Soon the junk dealer thought, there's no point in continuing to make money thanks to the BunBuku Shigama, so I'll let him have a rest. So one day, he called the BunBuku Shigama and said, "I've made you work so hard, and thanks to you I've become quite wealthy. Although they say that there is no limit to human wealth, it's not good to be so greedy, so I'll stop putting you on display for today and keep you in the temple as you were. But this time, I'll ask the priest to put you over the hearth like a normal kettle, so that you won't be burned alive, and I'll put you in the temple as a precious item, put you on a western futon, and give you a very comfortable meal." When he said this, the BunBuku Shigama replied, "That's true. I'm tired, so I'll have a little rest here." So the junk dealer took the BunBuku Shigama, along with half of the money he had earned from his shop, to the priest of Murinji. The priest accepted the Shigama and the money, saying, "Here you go, that's a bit much." Perhaps the BunBuku Shigama had gotten quite worn out and gone to sleep, because after that it never sprouted legs or started dancing again, but it became the backbone of this temple, and it is said to have been passed down to this day. That's that.